I really struggle when everyone is saying the same thing and everyone is wrong. I struggle with that. I struggle with what to do when a narrative gets thrown out there that's so off the mark and so crazy, yet everyone becomes so vehemently defensive of this line, this position. And, what's happened this last week has been a great example of this. I got to tell you, there's different statistics on this, so I don't know which one's the exact one. But the one that I'm going to go with is the one that was 515 children killed in schools in the U.S. between 2002 and 2025. 515 kids. Yet I didn't see all of you getting this upset, this irate, this divisive, this politically motivated for all those children. Most of the time it was thoughts and prayers. We'll just hope the gun violence goes away by the grace of God and do nothing about it. So then you have this guy, Charlie Kirk, who gets shot and murdered. I'm against what happened to him. Just so we're clear before we start this whole little episode here. I'm against shooting your political opponents. I'm against doing it to my political opponents, and I'm against my political opponents doing it to me. It's a fundamental fucking basis of my politics and philosophy that I don't think people should have to live in fear for what they think. Okay? So that's one reason. Second reason, Joey, why would you oppose the shooting of such an awful fucking person as Charlie fucking Kirk? And it's a clear, simple, pragmatic, practical reason. When you amp up the violence to the next level, it's just going to come back on us worse, right? And that's what's happening now. They're using this thing that's happened to create this situation now where anybody who doesn't think the same is considered an enemy of the state. Anybody who doesn't stand up and go, oh, they're an enemy of the state. It's so bad that the Canadian Parliament stood and had this emotional standing ovation for Charlie Kirk, an American who fucking got Donald Trump elected. What is our Parliament standing up and crying about? Because are you that vacant of understanding Canadian politicians? Yeah, I suppose they are. Everyone's just getting in line and saying the same thing. 515 children shot and killed in schools, and you're going to die on this hill. Let's talk about Charlie Kirk. Let's talk about him, right? Some of the things he said. So first of all, we're going to talk about his calls to cut Social Security. Kirk said, I'm not a fan of retirement. I don't think retirement is biblical. He doesn't think retirement's biblical. He just wants you to work till you're dead, I guess. Like there's no reason to enjoy our lives on earth. Oh, these are bad. Some of these are really bad. Birth control has created angry and bitter young ladies and women in their early 30s. They're past their prime. What an awful fucking thing to say. He also said women should not work, but instead serve their husbands and raise children. Should serve their husbands and raise children. People saying to me, he believed in traditional values. Are these your traditional values? Is this your Christianity? If these things that I'm going to read off is your Christianity, now you're going to realize why the church has become irrelevant over the years, why nobody wants to be a part of it, because you're saying things that are so insane and getting behind people like Charlie Kirk, and then you're wondering, why won't those awful people come to God? Because you're in the way. Abortion is our modern Holocaust. You're comparing a woman's right to choose with the fucking Holocaust? They should not work but serve their husbands and raise children. Awful. Awful. Okay, what else about him? He's a proponent of replacement theory. That's a once fringe conspiracy theory, positing that Jews are trying to replace white Americans with non-white immigrants. The people of color are taking over. It motivated the gunman who killed 11 worshippers at a Pittsburgh synagogue in 2018. That was his philosophy. That's why he went and shot a bunch of people. Charlie Kirk supports that theory. He thought that was fine. No problem. That was his politics. Replacement theory. These are your traditional values, you hypocrites. Black women do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously, Charlie Kirk said. You had to go steal a white person's slot to be taken somewhat seriously. These are awful quotes, and these are just the things he's saying out loud. Most people are scared when they see a black pilot flying a plane. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, oh, I hope he's qualified. That's not what I think when I see a black pilot. I don't even think about the fact that he's a black man at all. I get on my plane, I go sit in my seat. But these people are trying to stoke the fires of anger, stoke the fires of fear, stoke the fires of rage, and then pretend that it's all done in the name of God. And then you're going to sit there and be like, yeah, down with the women, down with the black people, and repeat all this hateful, awful bigotry and pretend like it's something God ordained. We need militias, armed militias to prevent the diminishing and decreasing of white demographics. So they need militias to prevent the diminishing. What does a militia like that look like? Probably the SS, right? Or the SA. He's talking about making an armed political gang that will go beat people and shoot people. The happiest women in America are married with children. Is that true, Charlie Kirk? Really? The unhappiest are unmarried without children. Get married and have babies. We got to look this one up. University of Toronto, new studies find single women are happier than single men. Well, that's no hard sale there. Women are happier without children or a spouse, says happiness experts. Can you imagine? You see some of the men that these women out there are married to, some of the pigs, some of the selfish, greedy, fucking cheating pigs that they have to deal with, that they have to raise a family with, and you're surprised that would make someone unhappy? Just lies, all lies. Children should watch public executions, Charlie Kirk said. Well, I guess that's hilarious. You got shot on a campus. You go around saying things like this, and then you get executed publicly. Again, I'm against it. It's awful. Everybody there is probably scarred, and it's probably going to increase the violence that comes across the board politically, not just against people like myself, just in general. The violent fires have been stoked continuously. I can't stand the word empathy, he said. I think empathy is a made-up, new age term that does a lot of damage. Well, Charlie, that's why I don't have empathy for you, because you gaslit me for being a very sensitive person. Kirk referred to transgender people as a throbbing middle finger to God and an abomination. How many transgender friends do I have? Actually, quite a few, and they're not an abomination. Those kinds of normalizing this kind of hatefulness, that's an abomination. British colonialism made the world decent. Wow. So he thinks, colonization of First Nations people and the genocide that went about, that made the world decent. Okay. He thought the guy who assaulted the Pelosi should be bailed out. So he supported political violence. He supported it. He spoke out for it. Do you remember Jesus saying, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, unless they don't love Donald Trump? You can't pretend that this is in line with the words of Jesus Christ, okay? Religious freedom should be terminated. Wow, so it's like, of the 10,000 goddamn denominations of Christianity, which one gets to win then, Charlie? Multiple black politicians stole white people's spots. They stole their spots. He says Martin Luther King Jr. was an awful person. So are you, Charlie. And you got shot just the same. What does that tell you? Vaccine requirements are medical apartheid. That's just fear-mongering crap. A woman's natural place is under their husband's control. Awful. Parents should prevent their daughters from taking birth control. What? I want my daughter getting knocked up by the first dumb fuck she sleeps with. Kirk asked what he would want his daughter to do if she were 10 years old and pregnant following rape. He said the baby would be delivered. Horrific. He said the January 6th protesters were innocent people. They didn't have it coming, but George Floyd did. So again, another man who suffers a violent, racist, horrific death. And what's Charlie had to say about it? He didn't say, God calls us to love each other. That what you do for the least of us, you've done for me. It didn't say love your neighbor as yourself, give your goods to the poor. Instead, give to Caesar what's Caesar's. 1964 Civil Rights Act was a huge mistake. So he thinks that we should go back to segregation. He thinks we should go back to segregation. Do you think that's not violence? That saying right there, do you not know what segregation was like? No, you don't remember. You don't know. You never bothered to look it up. You have no clue what black people used to live through. And still do in some ways. Ma'am Danny winning in New York's a travesty because Muslims did 9/11. Okay, I thought it was George Bush who did it. Move the goalposts there, right wing. Muslims come to America to destabilize Western civilization? No, they don't. Has there been a few people who wanted that? Palestine doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, does it? So what's everyone fighting about if it doesn't exist? Here's a person, you just stick your foot in and pretend, and then and here's some person laughing. Ha 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 ha. Brian Dudgeon, you're fucking disgusting, Brian. I've known you 30 years, and you're gonna sit there and read this kind of shit and then tell me that you're in favor of God? You're gonna tell me that's what God wants? You're gonna tell me that that's religion, that that's holy? You are disgusting, my friend. I love you. I love you for a long time. I've always been your friend. I support you. I believe in you. But why did I live in your farm 30 years ago when I walked out of seminary school? When I came back from studying religion, where were you? Wait a second, Joe. Are you telling everybody that you were actually about to become a minister? Yeah, that's right. I completed pretty much the requirements. And I walked away. I walked away from all of it. And I realized that there was something very wrong already way back then with spirituality, religion, Christianity. And one of the big things that I realized was that there is no love your neighbor as yourself. There is no sell your goods and give them to the poor. There is no what you do for the least of me, you do for me. Where are you? Where's your love for the poor? Where's your love for the weak, the broken, the sick? What are you doing to feed people? What are you doing to help people? You want to talk about traditional values? Traditional values in Christianity is love your neighbor as yourself, not this fucking crap that's on my screen right now. Shame on you, Brian, for laughing at this. Shame on you. You said you're willing to lose friends over politics? Wow. What a great light for the world you are becoming. What a great missionary for the love and the gospel of Jesus Christ you are. Laughing at this kind of stuff. Palestine doesn't exist. I think it's worth the cost of some gun deaths every year so that we can have a Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. So he thinks that some murders are okay if that's the cost to having, Americans can do whatever they want with guns. And now you're the martyr for your own cause. And again, Joy Reid, Michelle, Sheila Jackson Lee, black women do not have the brain processing power to be taken seriously. You have to steal a white person's slot. Shame! In what universe does any of that reflect the love and the teachings of Jesus Christ? Whether you believe Jesus is real or not, or whoever was real, I'm going to ask you to still take a look at the words he's purported to have said and see how that matches up with the message of Charlie Kirk. Like in Matthew 25, 34 to 36, then the king will say to those at his right hand, come, you that are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you gave me clothing. I was sick. You took care of me. I was in prison. You visited me. And whereas you look at the MAGA instead, they're like, well, let's make prisons. Let's make alligator Alcatraz and stick people in there that we're afraid of and don't like. We'll use it to punish brown people and black people. Jesus was a brown person, by the way. Mark 10, Jesus looking at him, loved him and said, you lack one thing. Sell what you own and give the money to the poor and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. When he heard this, he was shocked and went away grieving, for he had many possessions. That's you, America. Many possessions. Rich, filthy, arrogant, egotistically driven, selfish, hateful of your neighbor. Hateful of your neighbor, hateful of people who are gay, hateful of people who are trans, who are color, who are on the left wing, who are progressive, hateful of people who are immigrants, hateful of anybody you don't understand, hateful, and you sit there and pretend that you have religion on your side. You're going to sit there and pretend that you are somehow emboldened by Jesus friggin' Christ. Mark 12, 41, 44, he sat down opposite the treasury and watched the crowd putting money in. Many rich people put in large sums. They show off, eh? A poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which are worth a penny. He said to the disciples, truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the treasury. For all of them have contributed out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty has put in everything, all she had to live on. The humility. Where is your humility? Where are you? You want to stand there and proudly proclaim what a Christian you are? You are going to have to answer to your own God if you are right, if that's what's going to meet you when you get there. You are going to have to answer for how you stood there and opened your mouth loud and tried to make yourself look good, tried to pretend that was a substitute for actual righteous living. To be like, oh, I feel so bad for Charlie Kirk. What a fucking, the fucking Nazi who didn't believe in any of this stuff. He used God. He used God for his own purposes. These antichrists is who they are. He helped Trump get elected. Trump is your antichrist. He is the deep state. He's everything that you say you're against, and you lap it up. He said in Luke, when you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or rich neighbors in case they might invite you in return. You don't do something just to get something back. You know, that's a rebuke against capitalism right there. There is no putting value on things so that you can get value back. When you put on a banquet, you invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind. You don't send them to concentration camps. And you'll be blessed. You don't cut them off their health care because they cannot repay you. You'll be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. Then there was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen who feasted sumptuously every day. And at his gate lay a poor man named Lazarus, covered with sores, who longed to satisfy his hunger with what fell from the rich man's table. Notice it doesn't say here lethal injections for all of them, like it said on Fox News. Christian nation, you are, America, a nation of hypocrites, disgusting. The poor man died and was carried away by the angels with Abraham. The rich man also died and was buried. Shame on you, shockingly, disgusting, disturbing. I'm so sad and heartbroken that so many of you people could take this terrible man and deify him, canonize him, make him a saint because some talking head, Republican head, told you what to think and you got in line and just said, okay, I don't have a thought of my own. I don't have the ability to discern right from wrong alone. You know, the Antichrist himself can stand there and be like, this is what God wants you to do. And you go, yes, sir, I'll get right in line, being hateful and angry and calling everybody I don't understand my enemy. That's what you have reduced Christianity to. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on Donald Trump. Shame on Charlie Kirk. Shame on all of you.